We are drawn to what is new and polished. Perfect plates, perfect beaches, perfect moments, trimmed and filtered until they are barely resembling real life. After a while, that starts to change what you expect from food and from travel. You begin to look for spectacle instead of substance. The Philippines has no shortage of places to point a camera at. When it comes to food and tourism, we do tend to return to the same provinces again and again. The roads are better, the flights are easier, that logic kind of makes sense. But if you're willing to slow down and look past convenience, there are places that give a lot without asking for attention. Samar is one of them. I've been here before. I came for the surf, the long coastal drives, the caves that pull you deep into the ground. Samar is one of the most raw and quietly beautiful island provinces in the country. What I missed the first time was the food, and that's exactly why I'm back.
Anaminodo nga pinayungan, kaupay daw hini ay ahay hinipakitan. Naimugsula inihan pakuran dito halawaan, agitaw ukudan pakuranan kwarta ngagin sa brag ni Congressman.
That's amazing.
Hala na itsahi pangang pamuruta, kundiri mata mo silhigaw iha panggala. Kay damo padidingit masunod nga magkukurat sa pastilan, bisang pa umuran ay pagkalang kay papayungan.
People tend to assume that the Spanish first arrived in Cebu. That is not true. Their first contact was here, in Homonhon, an island off of eastern Samar. Pigafetta wrote about what they were served: pigs, fish, figs, coconut wine, rice wrapped in leaves. So let's start with the kakanin. My favorite place to jump off is the public market. If you want to understand how people eat, this is where the story begins. The Catbalogan market has changed over the years. Vendors who once sold out in the open near the port have been moved into this new structure. When we arrived, it was still settling into place. Stalls half arranged, paths not quite clear. It took some effort to actually find Capring's native food, but that effort is part of the deal.
Morning, kumusta po kayo? So ano po yung bestseller nyo? Yung puto itog? Okay, can I have one of each, please?
I care a lot about specificity. This puto carries the name of the rice it is made from, and that makes it so unique. Kalinayan rice, a red upland rice grown in Samar, aromatic, slightly nutty, and has a pinkish hue. And that's exactly what makes it different from commercially available puto.
Little secret, my bias has always been puto. It's probably one of my favorite kakanins, and Samar actually has a few really special ones that are very unique. I'm gonna start first what she called ordinary, which to me still doesn't look ordinary. It still looks really kind of special. It has a very pronounced coconut flavor, which if you're in Manila or other parts of the Philippines with your puto, it kind of has like a plain-ish flavor, which is still really good, but that's why it's great to eat with something else. But this has a nice coconut undertone, which is quite nice. But the one I'm super excited for, well, I was really excited for the puto itum, which is the black rice or black glutinous rice puto, but she didn't have any today. But she does have the kalinayan, which I've never seen the puto in this shape before, which is really nice. And this is a fragrant rice that's grown locally, and that's why this is only kind of found in Samar. Okay, let's see what else we can find.
A short walk from there is where people actually come for breakfast.
Morning po!
Good morning.
Okay, so what's your specialty po?
Yung paa ng baka, tsaka yung paa ng kalabaw, yun ang tinatawag na pakdol.
Tapos popular dito sa mga umaga?
Opo.
Breakfast foods?
Opo.
Okay.
Pigafetta wrote about locals eating fish, right? Or pork cooked in their own broth. Centuries later, that instinct has really not changed. We are a soup nation, from north to south. Carabao soup is a fixture in carinderias, and I never get tired of it. This version is close to a bulalo, using shanks and knuckles simmered until the meat barely holds together, pieces of collagen floating around like inflatables on a summer day. What sets it apart are the souring agents. Here they use batuan and tugaba.
There are few things in this world that make me as happy as any soups that contain a ton of collagen, that showcase slow cooking in the best way possible of just using the right ingredients and cooking it for the right amount of time. Wow, that is not what I expected at all. It has a beautiful pepperiness to it. There's a slight kind of chili bite, which is completely unexpected. Even though I saw the chili on here, most chilies in the Philippines, specifically the green ones that you see in soups, tend to be quite ornamental in a sense that they look good, maybe bring a little bit of acidity to the dish, but here it really brings the heat, which is really nice. But what's prominent for me is really that pepperiness. Then you got the sweet onions and this crazy developed beefy flavor that you know took hours to kind of get there. And I have these gorgeous leaves that are bringing also a balance of acidity, and obviously the batuan that just kind of ties everything together. And it looks so simple in execution, and it looks so familiar. I'm not just saying this for the camera, but flavor-wise, it is so different from any other kind of Filipino soup, beef soup that I've had. It really has its own kind of like flavor, which is surprising, but also very kind of indicative, just in general, of how there's so much variety in our food. And the only way to kind of find these are to go to the places themselves and the locality. That's such a good soup. Sarap, super, super good. So everyone is about to have breakfast, and we were asking what else that they had, and they actually said this thing lomo, which for me, lomo in Spanish usually refers to tenderloin. So I thought it was just going to be like some beef, but it ends up being a soup that's made with the blood of the carabao and carabao beef, which is something that you don't necessarily see also much, so I had to order it to try it. That's tasty. You don't get any of the blood. It's not as peppery or as kind of intense as the pakdo, but it's like a really fun, kind of like almost hybrid dish between like a stew and a soup. Yummy.
You say marasa. Marasa ini.
Marasa ini. Each time we are in a new province, we like to start in the market just because it kind of gives you a basis of what is available in a particular area. And you kind of see the types of kakanins, ingredients that are used in some of the cooking. But in places like Samar, a lot of the visitors that do come here are either in trade and industry or people who actually live here or come from here. There's still not a lot of tourism. There's still not a kind of like national focus on the province. So when you encounter that, it's really important to kind of talk to locals because a lot of the dishes and the food that are really interesting and unique and different will be found in households made by cooks who've been making dishes for generations. So we're currently on our way to taste tamalos, not tamales. I've had tamales in different parts of the Philippines. Obviously, you know tamales from Mexico as well, but the tamalos here in Samar, in Catbalogan specifically, are very, very unique, and I'm super excited.
A lot has been written about Spanish colonization in the Philippines. The trade routes, the galleons, the flow of silver, spices, and people. What is talked about far less, though, is the cultural exchange between the Philippines and what was called New Spain, present-day Mexico. For more than 2 centuries, we were directly connected. Ships crossed the Pacific regularly. Ingredients, techniques, habits, people moved with them. Yet both colonies sat, quote-unquote, beneath Spain, considered secondary, not important enough to document in detail. So, unfortunately, much of what happened lives in inference rather than in records. Food is one of the clearest traces left behind and carry a lot of our assumptions. The tamal is one of those monuments. We did not copy it, we adapted it, as Filipinos always do. Instead of corn masa, we use rice dough. That single decision changes everything. Texture, weight, balance. It reflects what we grew, what we valued, and what made sense here for us. In many regions, tamales are built quite heavy, a thick base of dough with toppings layered on top. Here, it's actually quite the opposite. The rice dough is rolled paper thin. The filling really takes center stage. Pork and lots of that peanut sauce. Salt and fat doing all of God's work. It is restrained, precise, and unmistakably local.
Today, you're gonna show us how to make the
Tamalos.
tamalos.
Yes po.
It's tamalos, not tamales.
Tamalos po.
Okay, so the Catbalogan tamalos.
Yes po.
Have you tried po yung mga tamales from Pampanga,
Not yet.
Cavite?
I've not been there yet.
Okay, I'll bring you some next
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So the big difference with them is they use egg
Yep.
and they use chicken, usually. So here I see you're using pork.
Pork.
Okay. How did you cook the pork?
Adobo, soy sauce and vinegar and garlic.
Tapos you're gonna shred it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then we have put some
Laurel.
laurel, then the paminta.
Okay.
First thing to do is to put a little oil here in the banana leaf.
Okay.
This is born already.
Yeah.
A little oil lang. Para hindi lang po mag-stick yung pinaka-dough.
So yung dough, rice flour lang. Rice flour tapos
Yes po.
tubig.
Tubig lang po.
Tubig, okay.
Iaano mo lang siya, i-roll.
okay.
Parang first layer ng dough. Para yung pork, iaano natin mamaya sa gitna. Dahan-dahan lang kasi madali mapunit yung dough. Then, lalagay na tayo ng pork. Maybe this is okay.
Mga 200.
Yeah, 200.
So ulam talaga.
Ulam talaga.
Sa ibang lugar, mas maraming kanin kesa sa...
Sa amin, mas maraming pork. Then,
cool.
lalagyan na natin ng first layer ng, we call this pinipian, the
Okay.
peanut sauce. First layer. I-cover mo lang po siya.
So how do you make this? Peanut?
Peanut, achuete,
Yeah.
yung inato, then the sauce, the chili sauce. Ito yung nagbibigay ng anghang. Yung parang ilalagyan mo ng alito.
Itong sili.
Pero dahan-dahan lang kasi mahapdi sa kamay.
So it's a very spicy dish.
Yes, not really, because some other don't like spicy one.
Tapos it's important that it's totoong siling labuyo.
Yes
right?
po.
Hindi yung mga...
Locals. No.
Yung Taiwanese.
May mga ano po kami dito, supplier ng siling labuyo. Some locals here are planting that
very good.
siling labuyo. Then magsisikan coating na po tayo.
This is a completely different dish from what I know.
Cover mo lang siya. Yeah, para
So that was 200 grams of pork. Then you wrapped the dough, and you add even more peanut sauce.
Yeah.
Total weight would be close to 400 grams already, right?
Cook, the finished one is 600 grams.
Wow. Who taught you?
My mom.
Your mom?
Yeah.
And who taught her?
Her mom.
Okay.
Then
and who
her
taught
mom.
her?
Her mom too. I'm the fourth generation now.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Then-
why is it important for you to keep this family tradition alive?
Kasi po parang naging hanap buhay na rin namin to this time. Kasi marami nang naghahanap. So, kinontinue ko na lang po.
And if I go around Catbalogan, will I find anyone else making this?
Yeah, pero hindi ganito.
Yours is the best.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Ganito. Ano lang natin yung magkabilang dulo. Then, ifo-fold natin twice para hindi lumabas yung pinaka-sauce. Kasi pag in-steam mo to, kumukulo pa siya.
Of course. So is this something
Wine.
that people from... What do you call someone from Catbalogan? Catbaloganon?
Catbaloganon. Catbaloganon.
So yung mga... Catbaloganon.
Catbaloganon.
Yung mga...
Waray nun, generally, waray nun.
Waray nun. Okay. Lahat ng mga waray nun, do they know this dish?
No,
No,
not
right?
not all.
And do you feel like maybe the young people here in Catbalogan, do they know this dish also? Or also it's parang becoming like a heritage dish that people are forgetting?
Actually, ini-introduce po namin yung Tamalos na this is really from Spanish colony.
Yeah.
So, kailangan nyo malaman na yung Tamalos, hindi po sa atin mismo, na-adapt lang natin. Oh, here it is. Then, itatight lang natin one.
So Mexican adaptation.
Yo.
Kasi sa Mexico, it's corn.
Corn.
Tapos yung
corn husk.
Corn husk.
Yeah.
This is the biggest tamales I've seen in the Philippines. Okay, let's try this.
Search for you.
Thank you very much. So when you eat this, you eat it with
With
sushi.
rice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank you.
welcome. So do you still eat tamalos?
Yes.
Even if you make it so much? The dough
Yep.
is really meant to just help keep everything together
Yeah,
and covered.
Para po intact po yung pork tsaka yung sauce.
Pero you won't taste it much, no?
Yep.
It's just there.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's all pork, all peanut, not a lot of rice or starch in there. So it's not heavy. Kung di sausawan, I like chili, so I'm gonna add a little bit of chili.
Wow.
Let's start with one little baby chili.
Oh, talaga. Wow!
So when you guys were doing the book, The Secret Kitchens of Samar,
Yep.
was it the first time someone was like documenting this dish, or did you already have like a written recipe for it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Sila na pong gumawa.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Dinedemo ko na lang, tapos ninarrate ko na lang. Doon sila nagkaka-idea kung paano gumawa.
And are you teaching? Have you taught other people how to make it also?
No.
No.
May mga gumagawa din po kasi dito.
Pero iba.
Iba.
Okay,
Iba.
which is important. Every family should have their own parang flavor, no?
Yes po.
Yeah.
Oo.
As for your idea, I can feel the chili now.
Water!
No, okay.
So
First
that's it.
time I came to Samar was 2018, I think. And it was very hard to find local food. So we would ask, ano po yung local food dito? And no one,
Wala.
wala.
silang
'Cause
ganun.
but I think back then parang medyo mahiya mga tao. Like, this is our food lang sa bahay.
Yes
It's
po.
not for visitors or
Yes
anything.
po, oo.
So it's important, I think, what you're doing and being very proud of the culture because
Thank
it's
you,
very
thank you.
delicious. It's very different, right?
Yes po.
But the only thing that I was given that was local back then was
Salokara.
salukara. Yeah.
Salokara. Made of rice, then may tuba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yung rice is fermented.
Yes po.
Tapos yung tuba helps make
Yes.
it leavened, right? If you guys come to Samar, you guys should try this. This is one of my favorite kakanins, I guess you can call it. Yeah, kakanin also. Yeah.
Kakanin.
Look at that. That's all natural. It's parang puto, pero
Puto.
big. I love
Oh,
this.
yeah.
What are some of the other maybe ulams from Catbalogan? Is there anything specific?
Seafoods from the farm, then meron din po sa dagat.
Okay.
So may crab, may shrimps.
We saw already cleaned and deshelled shrimps.
Yeah.
So what do you...
Binabalatan nila yan.
But I'm sure there's a specific dish they use that for.
Baduya.
Baduya.
Baduya. Nilalagay yun ng flour, then the onion leaf. Yung parang okoy.
Parang okoy.
Po.
So that's why may portion na.
Yeah, para hindi na nagbabalat sa bahay, meron na nagagawa sa palengke ng nakabalat na yung shrimp. We have tahong here from Jiabong. Ginagawa din pong baduyan tahong.
Yung baduya nasa kalye lang.
Na meron din sa kalye, sa mga street foods.
Okay.
Consider siya street foods dito sa Samar, Catbalogan particularly.
At this point, I could be rolled home like a ball because I've eaten so much. But I was told if I walk down this street and somewhere, we would be able to find those shrimp fritters. And that's what I love about coming to places like this where there's not really much resource or information online yet. And tourists like myself are still discovering all these places. There's a sense of discovery to it, which is fun, especially when it comes to new food. So ano po yung name nito?
Maruyang hipon. Pasayan po.
Maruya or is it Pasaya?
Pang ano yan? Kung sa Tagalog, maruya. Oh.
Pero yung name dito?
Local is Pasayan.
Pasayan.
Pasayan. Okay.
Opo.
Okay. Pasayan. So ano po yung ingredients dito? Flour,
Third class
tapos
hipon.
uh,
Garlic, carrots.
carrots, garlic, onions. Okay.
Ano pa na yun?
That is delicious. The fritter itself is delicious. You got amazing crunch to it. It's so airy. Like, it's expertly fried. Sometimes when you get maruya or you get okoy, depending, you get something sometimes that's a little either too cakey, too oily, retains too much oil. But here, the way that they kind of do it just makes sure that it stays nice and light. And that crisp is addicting. And it's so straightforward. There's nothing much else going on except for that. Now, this is the one that I've never seen in my life. Ano po to?
Maruyang ubi.
Tapos inside
At
there's
saka kamuting kahoy.
kamuting kahoy,
At saka sugar.
sugar, and ube. Yun lang.
Oo.
And lahat
Mini-mix.
mix lang.
Oo.
Okay. Shredded.
Grind and mix.
Kayog and mix. Okay. I don't know if it's done on purpose that they're cooked together, but being cooked together makes a lot of sense because you get the savoriness of the shrimp in there as well. So it really helps balance out the sweetness. So the outer layer is almost like a taro puff that you would have in a Chinese dim sum restaurant. It is very kind of like light, airy, crunchy, and savory. It has that shrimp savoriness. And then once you go inside, you get something that's nice and chewy and sweet. That's so good. These two are delicious snacks, and honestly, this is kind of why you need to walk around and kind of have to look at different places, because you find these things that you would never see anywhere else. And for a lot of people here, these are seen as everyday snacks and are not necessarily special. So unless you're brought to them, you probably just walk by and not really stop. But this is so unique to Samar, I'm guessing, and definitely worth the stop. Sarap po. Thank you. Salamat.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
You're welcome.
Our quest to find good food often leads us along unexplored paths. When you're in places like this, we're right next to the port actually. You see a lot of cars and trucks parked in a certain area. It doesn't look like much is happening. It usually means that there is good food for people in transit. And in places like that, you'll have restaurants where they've been serving one thing for the last kind of like 40, 50 years. And this is one of them.
Ako si Bebot Duquiatan, may-ari ng Pahawhawan. Nagsimula itong Pahawhawan mula sa mama namin 1970. Generation to generation ito. Sa paggawa ng tinula ng isda, bumibili muna kami ng isda sa minsan sa Kalbayog, minsan naman sa este. Lemongrass, tapos batuan, tapos pagka nalaga na, yun ang sa pagpakulo ng tubig. Tapos dahon ng sibuyas, tapos kamatis, sili. Tapos hindi ako gumagamit ng bitsin. Mga suki namin na hindi pa alam, dito na kami sa Seaside, dito kayo kumain. Open kami 24 hours. Ayun, kumakain dito sa Pahawhawan, hindi lang lasing. Kahit yung nagbibiyahe, halimbawa naantok na, pwede kumain dito para makuha yung antok. Tapos pwede naman magbiyahe. Yung mga lasing, lalo na yung mga lasing, pag dito kayo kumain, pagkatapos nyo kumain, pwede na kayo ulit bumalik uminom.
One thing I love about traveling in the Visayas, or Eastern Visayas specifically, is how much importance they give to their tinola. Well, same in Mindanao as well. I feel like tinola, when you're in Luzon or in Tagalog regions, a lot of the times it's the chicken tinola, which is kind of just cooked to death in the sense that it's just cooked for a very, very, very long time. And it kind of just sits in a pot at home and you just recook it, really don't take care much about the texture. Whereas in these places where tinola for them is specifically and mostly fish, how long you cook that fish and how long you kind of cook those vegetables in that broth is so key. So it's important to, one, have a flavorful broth in the beginning, and then adding the right aromatics to those broths at the same time. This is something we learned from Doi when we went to CDO in terms of how beautiful a tinola can be. That's so comforting. Obviously, what makes this very different, one, you have the cabbage and the tomato. I mean, tomato you see from time to time, the spring onions, but that batuan paste changes everything in terms of flavor. You talked to me maybe a year ago, and I would tell you that batuan was mostly around Negros. But now that we've traveled more around the Visayas, it is something that you see. If you keep your eye out for it, you'll see it. And that fish is so delicate. And not that I have anything against MSG or anything like that. You can clearly taste here. It's clean. There's no addition. And spicy too. This is all they make. So if you're making one thing, you're gonna get really good at making that one thing.
After all that savory, we really need something sweet. Locals pointed us towards Tina's Garden. When we arrived, there was no line. Our lucky day. Tina's is known for its halo-halo, but also for the unexpected snacks people order alongside it. On most days, there's a queue.
Hi po. Can I order one halo-halo? And then one, yung puto. Yung puto. Yes, and then one pork sandwich also. Thank you. What a treat. Tina's Garden. I love places that have products that seem so common in our register of Filipino dishes, yet imbue it with so much character. And that's exactly what this place is. First of all, it's a beautiful location. We've got a nice garden. Even though it's halo-halo done their way. That's super smart. It has a little sprinkling of white sugar in the elements so that you get some coarse texture as you eat it. So it's not just all mush. And all that evap is beautiful. That ice is almost fluffy too. So we rarely feature halo-halo anywhere we go, simply because it's usually very much the same wherever you get it. It's amazing, I love it. But when I saw a picture of this, I knew that it'd be really quite unique, and I wasn't wrong. And apparently, in Catbalogan, it is an institution. People, when they were kids, would actually come here. First thing I asked when I walked in here is, are the owners Phil Chai? Because there was a pork sandwich on the menu. First of all, can we appreciate how beautiful this spread is? Like a beautiful blue with the reds and everything. And this kind of reminds me more of something you'd find in Hong Kong, right? A pork sandwich. White bread, perfectly cut, nice and square, nice size. There's some eggs in there. I want to say sayote. Tasty. Very different from any halo-halo combination I've had. Just for that fact alone, I think you guys should make the trip here. And to complete the trio is the black puto itum, which we couldn't find in the market, which was very elusive, so we finally have it. It is so dense, like it is way heavier than what it looks like it would be. Has a bit of saltiness to it too, and that is so like moist and chewy. That's very different. If the putos we've had a while ago were very kind of like fragrant and light, this one's like almost sticky. This place, I love going in provinces and finding these little gems. I'm not finding, but people here have been coming here for a long time. But it just shows you how something here that's seen as kind of common to them is very special from an outsider's perspective. And so you really should cherish these places.
From Tina's Garden, we dropped by the Tabuan market just to have an idea about the produce and delicacies that were in season. What gives me real hope here is what the province is doing beyond individual dishes. The local government has been actively mapping Samar's food culture, and that matters. Too often, provinces chase tourism by building artificial attractions, resorts where they don't belong, and landmarks with absolutely no roots. Those things fade quickly and leave very little behind. Food and agriculture are different. They last because they're already here. Every week, the province holds a Tabuan market on the capital grounds. What grows here tells a story about the soil, the weather, and the people who work the land every day. Seasonal produce means better flavor, better nutrition, and food that makes sense for where you are. Good cooking does not start in the kitchen, it starts here.
Ito yung ano namin, yung
Yung
Sagara
kaseo.
Samar. Yan
Okay,
po.
yes.
Kung hindi mo siya ilalagay sa ref, is only 1 week. Pero kung ilalagay mo sa ref, is almost 1 month.
Okay, so ref talaga 1 week, pwede. Okay. Okay, I'll get 2, please. Yeah. Thank you. Yung keseo nyo, Carabao,
Yes, sir.
gata ng Carabao? Ano po yung acid?
Ano lang sir, yung vinegar ba sir? Yung
Coconut.
yung cocoa vinegar.
Yeah.
Tapos lalagyan namin ng kunting salt para hindi
Oh,
siya,
sorry.
hindi siya masyado maalat.
Tapos, how many, isang day ng strain?
Yes.
What Samar keeps reminding you is that most of its distinctive food still lives at home. That is probably why the book they released is called The Secret Kitchens of Samar. The title is quite accurate. Most restaurants here serve a broad, familiar Filipino menu. There's nothing wrong with that. It feeds people and it works. But it also means that many Warainon dishes remain private, cooked for families, for neighbors, for occasions that never really make it onto a menu. And that will change. As people start paying attention to the province, demand will follow curiosity. When that happens, Warainon food will move naturally into restaurants and small eateries. Samar also has a clear opportunity in agritourism. Take Jiabong, the town that Tahong built, or that's how I would market it. Mussels were abundant here, and instead of just treating it like any other food source, the community organized around it. Farmers, fishermen, families, they all aligned their incentives. Protect the waters, harvest properly, focus on quality, not necessarily volume, and what you get is not just product, but consistency.
Gandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Lucille Tafalla. Ako po yung owner ng MLS Tahong Crackers. So nagsimula po ang Tahong Crackers namin noong isa lang po itong investigatory project ng nanay ko kasi isa siyang guro ng science. Maraming tahong ang Jiabong, sabi nga bayan ng tahong. Kaya po naisipan niya na gawan niya ito ng chips. 1962, doon po siya nagsimula. Then ginawa po niya itong investigatory project at nanalo siya sa iba't ibang division, napunta po siya sa region at sa national. Dahil maraming tumangkilik sa gawa niya at nanalo to sa iba't ibang relihiyon, kung kaya't marami po siyang tinuruan sa paggawa ng tahong crackers. Lahat po dito sa Jiabong, mula po sa kanya yung mga recipe, mula po sa kanya kung paano sila gumawa ng tahong crackers. Karamihan dito ay ang pinagkakakuhaan ng kanilang hanap buhay ay mula sa dagat na kung saan ito ay ang tahong, production ng tahong, kung saan ito ay dinideliver sa iba't ibang panig ng Pilipinas, mula Luzon, sa Bicol, sa Mindanao, lalong-lalo na sa Mindanao at sa dito rin mismo sa Visayas. Mula sa tahong mismo ay marami kaming nagagawa. Oo, nakakagawa kami ng adobong tahong in bottle, nakakagawa ng tahong chip at iba-iba pa tulad halimbawa ng relinong tahong, lumpiang tahong, yon. Yung pagtatahong, syempre, malaking pakinabang to lalong-lalo na sa buhay namin, sa pagpapaaral ng mga anak ko. Pero mas malaking pakinabang din ito sa mga taong natutulungan namin sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng trabaho sa kanila. Yung main ingredients po namin ay yung tahong, pati po yung flour. Then meron din pong itong pepper, salt, at saka yung tahong broth po ang mahalaga doon. Yun po ang nagpapalasa sa tahong crackers. Pagkatapos haluin yung mga ingredients, magiging buo na yung dough. So pupunta naman tayo dito sa roller machine. Pagkatapos po dito sa rolling machine, pupunta naman po tayo dito sa slicing area. So pagkatapos pong i-slice yung dough, ngayon naman po ay pupunta tayo sa pagpiprito. Tapos po yung apoy niya hindi masyadong malakas. Antayin muna natin na mag-ano yung oil. At last mga 20 minutes bago po siya i-ano sa packaging area. Dito naman po yung pag-pack ng mga produkto po namin. Ito na po yung finished product ng Tahong Crackers po namin.
Okay, so we got rained on a little bit, so we're all here together trying the beautiful tahong crackers. So, ito yung main product nin.
Yes po, yung Tahong Crackers po.
So you eat it with vinegar?
The vinegar.
Tuba yan, tita.
Tuba from tuba.
Tuba vinegar. Okay. Did you try this last time? This is so good.
So
the tahong flavor is not so pronounced, but it's really tasty. And it's
tahong lumpia.
so this is like
This is made of tahong. All of
everything
this,
tahong.
yeah.
Okay. And if people come here to this municipality, can they order?
Every day we have here in Jiabong.
Okay. Okay. So these are the dishes that are made in Jiabong.
Yes. Oh.
So ito yung lumpia.
Lumpiang tahong.
Lumpiang
Yan
tahong.
po. So, palagi ditong may gumagawa yan everyday sa Jiabong. Ito naman yung sisig tahong, rellenong tahong, adobong tahong, kinilaw na tahong. Rellenong tahong pero hindi linagay sa sa shelf. Adobong tahong. Try also the rellenong tahong.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's good. It has that vinegar and those peppers and a lot of sweetness with sugar, which is quite nice. And this is yung
Rellenong tahong.
Don't eat the shell,
Carrots.
We put also carrots.
Carrots, yeah.
Same with the rellenong tahong.
I'll try the sisig also. But your best seller is the crackers?
Yes.
Okay.
This is our main product, the Tahong Crackers.
And where do you sell your crackers? Where do you sell them usually?
Everywhere here in Samar.
Okay.
Also in Tacloban City. We have
Buyers.
also here buyers there.
Came for a snack, I left with a shellfish dependency. By then, my head was already racing with all the possible things you could do with these bivalves, but I will clam it up for now. Our next stop was Villarreal. Formerly known as Umawas, it was renamed Villarreal in 1863, Royal Town in Spanish. Like many towns across Samar, its growth revolved around the parish church and the pueblo system. Religion, governance, and the daily life all folded into the same physical space. All over the country, you'll find cookies, pastries, and cakes that are all descendants from 100-year-old recipes. Over here, everyone knows Gina's.
Ako si Gina Colinayo. Ako yung may-ari ng Gina Colinayo Cakes and Pastries. Since 1959, nag-start ang lola kong maggawa nito. Natutunan ng lola ko to kasi helper lang siya nung sa lola ko din. Pinsan niya, yun ang helper, tagaluto, ganyan. Natuto din siyang gumawa kasi siya naman yung nag-mimix. Ito ang napagkuhanan nila ng livelihood nila. Nakapag-aral yung tita ko, yung nanay ko. Pinipedling lang nila sa mga iba't ibang town pag may fiesta. Tapos kumakatok sila dun sa mga bahay. Wala pa silang packaging. Nakalata lang, naka-arrange lang. Tapos sasabihin bibili yung may-ari ng bahay, mga 10 piraso, 100 piraso, binibilangan lang nila noon. Handed down generation tong recipe na to. Kumbaga, bihira lang sa mga tao yung may ganun. Sa lola pa namin to, kahit 80 years old na yon, di pa yun pumapayag na hindi siya ang magluluto. Yung paggawa daw ng rosquetis, hindi ka daw magmamaster niyan. Talagang lagi kang nag-aaral niyan. Yung salvaro, yung gawa siya sa coconut. Yung po ang bestseller namin. Tapos kuryoso. Rosquetis naman, mayroon. Tsaka meron kaming torta. Kung buhay pa si lola ko ngayon, siguradong proud na proud yun. Kasi gusto niya kasi ipagpatuloy yung napagkakakuhanan niya ng hanap buhay nun. Tawag dito torta. Siguro kaya tinawag siyang torta kasi marami siyang itlog. Pag mga may okasyon dito, mga fiesta or may mga bisita, nag-o-order sila sa amin. Start tayo sa itlog. Tanggalin natin yung white. Kasi yung white, yung nakakapagpatigas sa mga cakes. Ang mga cookies, ang nagpapasarap dyan ay yung timpla. Tsaka kailangan pag nagmi-mix ka, may kasamang love. Kasi kung masama naman yung loob natin, nasasama din yan dun sa ginagawa natin. Aanuhin muna yung itlog. Papabulain siya. Sama na natin yung sugar. Araw-araw kaming gumagawa ng cookies. Kung ano yung demand na order sa linggong ito, yun ang aming inuuna. Yan. Wala itong halong tubig. Flour. Nakasip na pala to bago ilagay dito. Isisip muna kasi minsan may mga buo-buong flour. Sinahalo ko na din yung baking. Kasi si baking din, pag hindi siya nahahalo, minsan may mga buo-buo din siya. Nakakain. Mapait. Tapos ito, ihahalo lang siya ng mabuti. Tapos ready for na siya, baking na. Susukatin natin to ng isang tasa. Sa Samar, paboritong snack talaga ito ang torta. Kung may mga special na occasion, lagi talaga siyang nandyan. Pinangyayabang ito ng taga Samar.
Hi po.
Hi po, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, so what are your specialties here?
This is Curioso.
Curioso.
And torta. Torta, sir. We have torta.
I didn't know. For me, I only saw torta in Cebu. I didn't know that you guys had it also in...
Yes, it's from our Lola recipe.
Okay.
We also sell that.
But your Lola is from Samar
Yes,
also? Okay.
from Villayan.
What makes a torta? Is it just the shape or the combination of
The
ingredients?
combination of ingredients. And we have also a secret recipe there.
You have a secret?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to find your secret
Yes.
by tasting it.
Okay, okay.
Here you eat it with coffee, tea, or
Yeah.
so more in the afternoon?
Yes.
Can I try also the Curioso?
Yes, sir.
All of these, the Salvado, Curioso,
Yeah.
De Caña, all same ingredients or no? They
No,
differ?
it's different.
Okay.
This one is made from coconut cookies.
This is coconut.
And no, that's butter,
Okay.
eggs, milk.
Okay.
Yes.
No nuts. This
No,
one.
no.
And then this one is made from...
Coconut. We have
Okay.
also free taste, sir.
Yeah, can I try this also?
Okay.
Thank you. So how did you learn to make all of these?
This is a recipe of our Lola. She teaches us to
Okay.
make a living.
And before your Lola?
She told us that it's from Spanish time.
Okay.
We have Spanish
Old
Spaniards
houses.
live
Correct.
here.
Yeah. What's another famous dish from Villarreal?
Humba.
Where's the
Okay.
best humba here?
There, in Mahayag, over there.
Mahayag.
Barangay,
Okay.
Mahayag.
I think that's where we're going next to try
Yes,
it. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I will go with you.
Okay, great.
Okay.
We are in the Visayas after all, and you do not come this far and skip humba. So we asked around, and the answer kept coming back the same. The best version was here in town, cooked by a former teacher who only made it for special occasions. If there's one thing I do not mind being schooled in, it's humba.
Itong humba ay nanggaling po ito sa aking lola, sa aking nanay, silang nagluluto. Talaga hindi po ako ang nagluluto nito, buhay pa sila, pero wala na sila. Pero nakikita ko sila pag nagluluto. Kaya naano ko ito. Halimbawa mayroong magpista o mayroong handaan. Yung mga bata, diyan pa lang sa pintuan, sumisigaw na yung humba ni Lola.
Sarap daw.
Nasasarapan siguro. Basta yun ang kanilang inaano. Sa DepEd po ako. Retired principal po ako. Oo. Tapos, nagturo ako sa Caldigan na Western Summer College. After 6 years, kinuha ako ng mayor bilang secretary. Ngayon, nasa OSCA ako sa Senior Citizens Office. Ito, una, pipili kayo ng parte ng baboy na doon sa may pigi o dito sa may shoulder, yung Tapos yung merong taba, mayroong namang laman. Mga 10 o 15 minutes, i-blanch mo. Hatiin mo. Sa ating mga young generation, na-preserve ito. Dapat i-preserve ito. Mas maganda na nasa aklat kasi hindi ito malilimutan. Pero kung sa sa istorya, sa kwento lang, madaling magkalimutan yun. Ito, i-scrape mo yan. Mani, mayroong suka, tuyo, sibuyas, garlic, paminta, bay leaf. Lagyan natin konting asukal, asin. Mas maganda kung halimbawa na overnight ito, matagal. Lalagyan ito ng kinakalining para hindi mag-stick yan. Yung coconut midrib, ito, galing sa nyug.
Okay, let's try this. This looks really good. Wow, that is so tender. Let me try that with the peanuts. Did we see peanuts in the humba in Cebu? No, right? Talsit only. Sarap, auntie. Sobrang sarap. I think this perfectly sums up our Samar trip. In terms of discovering hidden gems, you really need to kind of go into households. That's where the richness is, that's where the culture is. And it really is the full Filipino experience. Being invited into someone's home, it's very intimate. Sharing personal family recipes. And all that just creates this perfect bite of food that you can bring with you wherever. And you can try to recreate at home, right? Everyone has their own little secrets that they don't want to share, and that's totally fine. I think at the end of the day, every family will have their own spin on something. And that's what makes it special. That is a delicious bite of food. Yum.
This is only the beginning. Over the next month, we will be releasing multiple episodes and documentaries about Samar and Leyte, and all the food you can find here. So make sure you stay tuned.